From how The Last of Us could explore more of some characters' backstories to how Joel's ending could be different, here are the best The Last of Us fan theories for Season 2.
No! Get off of me! Get off!
It's me.
Get off!
Look, it's me. It's me.
Although first, can we take a moment to appreciate how The Last of Us leaves some room for theories? Even though the people who made the games and TV shows have left a lot of hints about The Last of Us's story, everyone still has a lot of room to make up their own ideas about the plot. From the possible cause of the pandemic to the real goals of certain characters, the biggest theories add to the mystery of both the video games and the HBO Max series. In fact, a supporting character might get some more attention in the upcoming season. They could show more of Abby's story. When a show goes from its first season to its second, there's always a chance, and a good chance, that new supporting characters will be added. What most people wouldn't expect, though, is for that character to get a lot of attention. This is exactly what happens in The Last of Us Part 2, and it's likely one of the biggest things that fans don't like about it. Abby's a character you can play as soon as the game's sequel starts. She quickly becomes one of the most important characters in the series because her actions start the whole game. Even though she might not be the most important character in the first half of the game, her presence will still be felt in Season 2, and most likely Season 3 too. Although, speaking of characters whose stories didn't get enough attention, some fans think the show could explore Ellie's backstory some more. A few times in the game, Ellie and her ex-girlfriend Kat are mentioned. Kat's the one who made Ellie's famous tattoo, which is seen in the game. I learn about her from Ellie and Dina's interactions with her, and from what Ellie writes in her notebook. These seem like good areas for the second season, especially since they could show how Ellie's relationship with Joel is making her more independent. They could be used in flashbacks or even in a straight line if the show doesn't follow the same plot as the game. For example, I could see her get her tattoo, which is important because of their relationship and how it covers up her bite mark. But as far as Ellie's concerned, there's much talk about how a tragic ending in the second season could be foreshadowed by Joel's song. The fact that Joel says he wants to be a singer is one of many things that hint at what'll happen in Season 2. In The Last of Us Part 2, one of the most heartbreaking scenes is when Joel sings and plays the guitar for Ellie.
Some folks call this thing here a guitar.
Funny.
You want to hear something?
Okay.
Okay.
He gives her the guitar after that. After Joel's death, Ellie finds the instrument again and learns to play it. She can connect with her adopted father through music when she learns to play and finds her own interest in it. Joel's comments in The Last of Us HBO show about how much he likes music show that the show will be like the game. The relationship between Joel and Ellie is at the heart of both the games and the show. The musical scenes in the game have a strong emotional impact. Joel's death, which will most likely happen sometime in the second season, is a turning point in Ellie's character arc. And the fact that he gave her the guitar as a gift before he died is important to how her grief will play out. Of course, that also means that things could get much more serious in the second season. Some fans believe the stories will get more complex. When you look at how The Last of Us and its sequel tell their stories, they almost feel like they're from different eras. The first game's story's much simpler and easier for most people to understand. It's similar to how the gameplay is different from Part 2. Part 2 doesn't go in that direction because it sometimes makes the player feel so alone by putting so much emphasis on having to follow these very bad characters. It's a story that Druckmann and Gross put together in a way that makes it hard to connect with if you don't buy into what the game's selling you. It'll be interesting to see if this line of thinking stays the same, or if it changes now that audiences know there will be a second season. Season 2 of The Last of Us is probably only going to cover half of the game's sequel. This makes it harder to figure out a possible plan than it was for the first season, but it still leaves a lot of room for new ideas. It's a game with a lot of different ideas, but there's also a lot of room for more. Many people also suspect that Maria's trust issues with outsiders predict a future event in Season 2. Yep, I'm talking about the character that she suspected the most. I know I've already talked about her, but there's also a theory about whether Abby could be the main bad guy of season 2 or not. She's one of the most disliked characters in the world of The Last of Us.
You are nothing but lucky.
You have no idea.
Don't get electricity in here. How the have you been?
There are solar panels on the roof.
Who are these people?
How long y'all been here?
But she might not be the bad guy in the story. She could help Joel and Ellie get back at the Fireflies for a large part of the story by becoming a friend. This will actually make her a fan favorite because it'll give her a much stronger character arc. But again, this is just a theory that has a very small chance of becoming true. But if this happens, it'll be clear that The Last of Us Part 3 is possible and might even come back stronger with a more interesting story. Remember how I talked about Ellie earlier? Some fans think her girlfriend could play a bigger role in the second season. Dina is Ellie's love interest in The Last of Us Part 2. She's also the secondary protagonist of Ellie's part of the story, and is very important to Ellie's journey.
Ellie. Are you okay?
Christ. Is that your blood?
So it makes a lot of sense that she shows up in a subtle way in The Last of Us Episode 6. As soon as Ellie and Joel arrive in Jackson, they're taken to get something to eat. Joel tells Ellie to mind her manners before she notices that a girl across the canteen is staring at her. Then Ellie yells at this girl who runs away quickly. Even though it hasn't been said, this girl's Dina. Dina says in The Last of Us Part 2 that she was shocked by how much food Ellie could eat when they first met. This scene from The Last of Us Episode 6 is similar, and if the second season will focus on Ellie, then Dina will definitely play a major role in it. Then there are characters I'd really like to see stay alive, but who might die in the second season. But fans think Joel's story will be different in the show. If you've played The Last of Us games before, or are just interested in the story, you'll realize that Pedro Pascal, who plays Joel so well, will have to die in the second season. This is because the creators of the show have already said that they won't do anything different from the original storyline in the TV version. But after the third episode of the first season aired, they broke this promise. Fans already know the story from the video games, but this gives the creators a chance to fix Joel and tell a much more complicated and emotional story. That's all the best The Last of Us fan theories for Season 2.